Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel Saint Nightingale. In this tutorial video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this spaghetti crop top with this gigantic rose petal sitting in front of it. But first of all, if you haven't subscribed, now is the time for you to click on that subscribe button. It will make me happy. So let's dive right into it. Alright, so first of all, what I did was to place my fabric on the floor. Let me firstly state that I won't be using a pattern for this crop top. I'll just be cutting directly or creating my pattern directly on the fabric. So let's proceed. So I folded this in two and marked the shoulder. That's what you can see me doing now. I marked the shoulder measurement, which is 14 inches. Since this is on fold, divided by 2 will give me 7 inches, and that's what I'm marking. And then I went downwards to also secure the armhole measurement. For this pattern, I'll be working with 8 inches. And then I went further to mark that part. I picked my short ruler and then I connected the lines. So I went further forward to also get the armhole measurements, and that's why I'm marking 8 inches again across that part. I picked up my short ruler and I connected the lines. Then the next thing for me to do is to just create my dummy neckline, which is actually not useful for this pattern, but I just want to drop that out so I could just have my simple bodies. So I went further to mark the bust measurement. The bust measurement I'm working with is 3 inches. I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance to that, and then I marked that on the fabric. Then the shoulder to waist measurement is 14 inches, and then I used my chalk to also mark that part so that when I place it, I'll be able to get the measurements. So the length of the crop top I'll be working with is 19 inches. I added 1 inch sewing allowance to give me 20 inches, and that's why I'm marking 20 inches across the fabric. This also factors in my sewing allowance up and bottom, which at the end of the day will give me 19 inches. So I've placed the measuring tape back on that point that I marked to get my waist measurements. The waist measurement I'll be working with is 26 inches, and then I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance as well to that to get that. The hip measurement that I'll be working with is 36 inches. I also went further to get my 1.5 inches sewing allowance, which I will be adding to that line. So I've marked that now. I'll just pick my curve ruler to just connect the lines. I'll be using freehand to connect the lines for the bust area, and that's what I've done. So now let's proceed to do the armpit curve. I'll just quickly do that. Use the curve ruler to connect that part, and now I will now be recreating another curve for the armpits, and just follow me. So the shoulder to the depth of the neckline I'll be working with is 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches across that part, and I will just use my short ruler now to connect the lines. After doing that, because this is a spaghetti sleeves, it's not normal sleeves, I went in by 2 inches inwards, and the way I was able to get this was I went upwards. Remember, I had marked a dummy neckline at the top part, so I went to get the midpoint. The midpoint of that point is 2 inches. So I went on to mark 2 inches on that point to recreate another armhole, and that's what I'm trying to do, because the spaghetti sleeves will sit at a different point, different from where the shoulder measurement is. So and that's what I've done now. So I've recreated a fresh armhole, and I'll just be using my curve ruler now to create that curve, and that's the new armhole that we have now. So our front part is ready, and I'm going to pick up my scissors now and then trim this part out. In essence, if you're trying to get this spaghetti sleeves point where this sits in, I would usually suggest that you use between 5 inches on fold or 6 inches on fold, so that at the end of the day what you have is 12 inches for the new sleeve measurement or spaghetti sleeve measurement, and not for someone who is 14 inches broad for the shoulders, you end up using about 6 inches or 10 inches for your spaghetti sleeves, because the spaghetti sleeves doesn't sit by the tip of the shoulder, rather it moves inwards and I decided to take this inwards by 2 inches. So I picked up my scissors now to cut this out. I will be placing this pattern on the back side to cut the back side. The back side will be having a zipper, and I'm going to be showing you how I cut the back side as well. So let's go with the process. So I'm not cutting the front part. I'll just use my bobbin pin to secure these parts and then place on the back side. So as you can see, the back side has the zipper allowance, which is 1.5 inches. I have pinned this down on the fabric so that I can just cut out. Remember, I said it also has a zipper. There's nothing different aside from the part that has the zipper allowance, which is 1.5 inches. Every other measurement remains the same. Because I like giving you jar, I'm going to show you how I cut the skirt. The waist for the skirt is 32 inches, as you can see, and that's because I'm going to be using elastic. The length of the skirt is 30 inches, and I'm going to show you how I join this. So let's first of all join the upper part, the blouse. So the first thing I did was to join the spaghetti sleeves. The measurement for the spaghetti sleeves is 2 inches wide, so that when you turn it, fold it to sew on it, you'll be sewing half an inch when running it down. You trim the edges, turn it in, you'll be getting half an inch for the spaghetti sleeves. After doing this, I went on to sew the fabric that I'll be using for the rose petals. So the I made use of 3 yards long. So the fabric that you can see now that I'm sewing on, that I used for the rose petals, is 3 yards long. That's 36 inches times 3. And in terms of the width, how wide it was 10 inches wide. On fold, you'll be getting 5 inches. And so I went further to sew it first on the wrong side. I'm sewing on the wrong side so that when I turn it in and I sew on the fabric, you won't be seeing the rough edges. Rather, you'll be seeing a more covered part when sewing the petal or sewing the fabric on the spiral petal. Don't worry, just follow through with me. I'll show you how I sew this on the fabric. So we're doing sewing now. I will just be turning this in. Look at what I'm doing. I'm trying to turn this inside out so that I can get the right side outside now. Just put your hand in and pull it out. Keep pulling out till you get to the last part of this. So we're done pulling this out. Let's proceed to the crop top now. Remember, I have already sewn the spaghetti sleeves. The length for the spaghetti sleeves is 12 inches, but with my sewing allowance, I made it 13 inches long because I'll be taking half an inch in front and at the back. Remember, the shoulder to where that's the blouse or the crop top starts from is 6 inches, and that's why I'm making use of that measurement. So I have my spaghetti sleeves. I'm just going to place on the edge, as you can see. When placing as well, I'm ensuring that the part that has the joining will be facing backwards when it rests on the body. And I'm going to now place the lining. I made use of bridal satin to line. The fabric I used for sewing this is Mikado silk. So I'm placing my bridal satin, and when I'm placing it, I'm also ensuring that when I turn it in, it's the right side that you'll be seeing inside, so it has this shiny effect inside when you open up the fabric. So I'm just going to sew this down and sew down the spaghetti sleeves on the left and on the right. Just follow me, you understand what I'm doing. After sewing, I'm showing you what this looks like. I'm going to just open up to sew the fabric on the lining just so that it's firmed up inside. I'll quickly do that and I'll flip over so that we can do the back. So I've done that to flatten out the fabric so that when I iron it, it's properly and the lining is not popping out. So I'm going to replicate the same process for the back. I'm ensuring that the spaghetti sleeves is sitting properly so that when you turn it in, you don't have this twist. So you have to be very careful to ensure that you have properly placed the spaghetti sleeves on the back side and it's sitting properly so that when you turn over, it's not shifting. As you can see, I'm using my bobbin pins also to secure it on the fabric before I sew in. So the process is equally the same. You sew from the armpit area to the upper part of the blouse, and that's it. And that's what I'll just do now. So because I'm doing an inner closing, we're not going to close the sides yet. We just close the armpit area and the upper part. We haven't closed the down part either. So let's proceed to marking out the area where we'll be working out the rose petals. So I first of all went on to secure the center point, and that's what I'm doing now. The center point of the fabric from the waist side, which is where the rose petal will be starting from, and then I went on to start drawing like a circle across it. Also, like I've taught you in the past how I sewed ruffle sleeves on organza. It's still the same process. I'll drop the link here so you can watch it and learn from that video as well. You also ensure that the rose petals that you're sewing doesn't go out of shape or out of measurement. Remember, this is for somebody who has a bust measurement, waist measurement, and hip measurement. So when drawing out the circular motion, ensure that it doesn't bounce out of shape or out of the measurement that you're working with for your client or for your model. What you saw me do there was to mark the area that this petal will stop at. So in terms of the bust area, 1 inch sewing allowance is what I'm taking out. For the waist area, I'm taking out 2 inches sewing allowance. Also for the hip area, I'm taking out 2 inches allowance. This is a circular motion, and I'm going to use my white chalk so that it's clear enough for everyone to see what I marked. I'd initially used a pink chalk, but I noticed it wasn't showing properly, so I'm slowly going to use my white chalk now to trace what I'd used or what I'd done with my pink chalk so everyone can see it properly on this blow. I mean, it's popping out properly now so you can all see it. So after doing this now, I'll go back to the machine and start sewing that piece of material for the ruffle sleeves following this circular motion. I've done this in the past with organza. I'll drop the link for you to watch as well. But this is quite different. Unlike the organza, I pleated this. I won't be doing so much of the pleats. I'm just going to be moving carefully, pleat in some areas, not pleat in some areas, so that this is not too chunky and it sits properly like I want it to. So let's go to the machine now and sew on this. The first thing I did was to close the edge of the fabric that I'll be using for the spiral sleeves. I quickly closed the edge and I'm now going to be sewing this on the fabric. So I've done that now, and this is our front part of the blouse. I'm going to place the material now that I'll be using for that spiral rose part on the fabric, but from the center point. Just follow me, you understand what I'm doing. So you just keep going through with the process and ensure that you follow through with the circular markings that have been made on the fabric. Remember I said I made use of 3 yards of material for this, and it's 5 inches wide on fold. The name of the fabric I used is Mikado silk to to sew the spaghetti crop top, and what I used to line is bridal satin because I want it to also stand firmly. Also remember I said when doing this, you ensure that you pleat a bit, you move again, you pleat a bit, you move again till you get to the final part. And depending on the body size, the quantity of yards used might change. I used this for a size 6 person. This measurement, I mean, for the petal can work for a size 8, 10. It could also work for a size 12. From size 14, we need to use more yards of rose petal because of the wideness of the bust area. So you could end up using like 4 yards or 5 yards, depending on how chunky you also want it to be. Because for me, this is what works for me: 3 yards of the fabric, so that I can get the type of rose petal that I want for this front part um, of the crop top. So let's proceed. I'm sewing at the tip. I didn't have iron to iron this to flatten the fabric, which is why I was flattening manually with my hands. There was no light for me to iron out. So I would advise that you use your iron to flatten out not the entire fabric, but that part that you have joined to turn in, you flatten it out so that it's very flat when you're sewing down on the fabric. Not for you to flatten the entire rose petal, because if you flatten it out, you won't get this chunkiness that you can see on the fabric. So I won't advise that you iron out the entire fabric. Just that part where you'll be working this on is what you should iron. So I'm done now. I'm almost done. So I'm trying to fix the thread into the needle now. I will just stop at this point and close the finishing. I mean the tip of this fabric that I'm using for the rose petal. I closed it at the beginning, but I didn't close it at the edge because I wasn't sure of how wide this would end. So what you can see me doing now is trying to close the tip of the fabric of the pattern that I used for this rose petal, and then I'll take it back. But when taking back as well, I won't continue with this pattern. I would flip inside out now, I mean the opposite direction, to close it out, then use a needle and thread to join it in a very, very stilt way, so it doesn't show, a very hidden way, so it doesn't show that I had tacked, what's dangling with the last layer. But just follow me, you see what I'm doing. Alright, so let me reveal to you what this looks like, and voila, here it is. So this is what the 3D rose petal looks like. We're not done yet. We're going to sew the sides so that we can have a complete finishing. So remember I said that the finishing is going to be inside finishing. So first of all, what I did was to following the measurements, joined the lining with the lining for the front part and for the back side. So I mean for the joining, the main fabric will be closing together with the main fabric in front and at the back, same with the lining, and then when you flip over, you would have it all covered up. I mean nothing shown at the sides, you just see the joining. After doing that, I'm just going to trim the excess fabric on the side and do it for the left and on the right side. So let's just speed up this process. So we're done with this now. We'll just fix the zip and we're good. Let's try to work on the skirt. So remember I said that I had 32 inches for the waist of the skirt, because this fabric can stretch as much as 40-50 inches. It's the plissy fabric. So for the waist part, what I did was to use needle and thread to do a loose stitch at the waist, so that it can be easy for me to place this on the material that I'll be using to create the band for the skirt. So I'll just quickly use the needle and thread to create a loose stitch on the skirt, so we can go and do this on the machine. So we're done with that now. I would remove the needle from the thread and just knot it I'll knot the thread. After knotting the thread, it will be easy for me to move the fabric across the thread. So let's go to the sewing machine now. So I picked the material I'm using for the band. It's 4 inches wide, and I'm going to just sew first of all on the wrong side of the skirt. The part that you can see is also the wrong side of the band. So I'm just going to sew straight all the way to the end before I flip over to turn it in for me to be able to sew the band properly. Well, when also sewing this, you have to sew in a very slow motion because you're working with a plissy fabric that stretches, so that your measurement doesn't go out of line or out of measurement or out of shape. So just for quality check, I'm using my measuring tape to check that my measurement is still accurate. So I'll just proceed to turning this inwards so that I can get my band measurements, which will at the end of the day give me 1.25 for the total measurement for the band. So after doing this, you remember to also take out the thread that was used to do the gathers for the waist area, so that this is not showing when worn. We're done with the skirt. Now let's fix the elastic. So the measurement for the elastic that I'll be making use of is 22 inches. And this can stretch as much as 40 inches because of how stretchy the elastic is. The waist, the hip measurement for this person is 36 inches. So I'm going to make use of 22 inches elastic measurement, taking out the half-inch sewing allowance on both sides will leave us with 21 inches. So this is the elastic I'm going to be using. I'm going to fasten it into this band using my safety pin. After passing through, we're just going to secure with the bobbin pin so that the elastic doesn't go out of the band, and then just sew this downwards on a straight line. This fabric is elastic, so there's no need to start shaping it. This will sit at the back when worn and not on the front or the sides. So there's no need to start creating the shape for the waist or the shape for the sides. It's just will I call it one size fits all or what now? So that's it. Show you what the blouse looks like. So this is the back of the blouse and this is the front of the blouse. Just before I would place this on the mannequin for you to see. I'm also going to show you what the skirt looks like. So this is what the skirt looks like. You can see the band and you can see the skirt sitting very pretty on the mannequin. I'm now going to show you what this looks like. The total look of what this looks like on the mannequin, the blouse and the skirt. And voila, here you have it. See our very, very lovely rose petal sitting very pretty on the spaghetti crop top, and the skirt as well sitting very pretty on the mannequin. I can't wait for this to be worn on the model so that we can all see and appreciate this beauty that is in this design. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them down below in the comment section and I'll be willing to take your questions. Do not forget to also share this content to all of your platforms so that people can learn a thing or two about how to cut this pattern and how to sew this pattern. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time for you to click on the subscribe button. Do not forget to also give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this content, and finally click on the notification bell so that you can get notified when I post new content on the platform. Like I always say, from me to you, it's bye-bye. Keep creating magic. It's Saint Nightingale.